The following message has been approved by your central government and all local government branches.
Audaciously disobedient.
Hello there, gentlemen. Today is the first video in the prepping series. On this channel, we will focus on preparing for the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. By doing this, we will also be prepared for both of those and everything in between. The best case scenario is everyone around us condemns violence being initiated on people that did not commit force or fraud. The worst case scenario, everyone around you applauds violence being committed on you and your family when none of you committed force or fraud. Even if we reach best case scenario, where people stop condoning violence, the worst case scenario will still be possible. This is because good exists, so therefore the opposite of good must also exist. So evil exists because good exists. That can be reduced to the possibility of evil exists. It's a good goal. I'll just leave that at that. This is a discussion for another day. So when preparing for something, having a robust logistics system is the best way to prepare for anything. If it's a flat tire and you already have the equipment in your vehicle to repair it, then logistics are taken care of. That can be expanded to bigger events like a war, for example. Logistics is what wins wars. Not that we're at war, kind of a culture war maybe. By deciding ahead of time what we will do in different situations, we can greatly increase our effectiveness in getting through those tough times. So as you can see, today's discussion is about developing resolve. The definition that I found for resolve is to decide firmly on a course of action. The first step in being an effective protector, when X, Y, or Z happens, you've already decided what you will do about it. You won't have time to sit around and think about it. Actions will need to be set in motion within an instant. So I have created a bit of a thought experiment for us to go through today. It's called, what would have to happen for you to do X? For you to do something. So your answers will likely change over time. Mine have changed to a lot of these questions, especially in recent years. But we'll just propose these questions, think about them now, so we don't have to think about them later. So the first one, what would have to happen for you to accept that evil exists? Has it already happened? Is it currently happening? What would have to happen for you to stop pretending you live in a bubble? That's kind of similar to that one. Next one, what would have to happen for you to realize the police are minutes away when seconds matter? This might be a good question for you to think about. It might be a good question to ask someone else that's important in your life. Getting a little more to the next level, what would have to happen for you to teach your children how to use firearms? That can change based on their age, obviously. If something happens, maybe you want to teach them earlier than when they might be ready. Obviously, you're not going to teach a 2-year-old, but you can decide that for yourself. The answer might change over time and based on circumstances. Next one, what would have to happen for you to give your children access to firearms? These are just questions we can think about now, so we don't have to think about if the time comes, when the time comes. What would have to happen for you to train for combat? A lot of people do martial arts. That's a combat sport. A lot of people hunt. A lot of people carry firearms to protect their family. What would have to happen for you to talk to a friend about training for combat? What would have to happen for you to dedicate time in your schedule to preparing for combat? And similarly, what would have to happen to dedicate a place in your budget to preparing for combat? What would have to happen for you to bring a full combat loadout in the vehicle anytime you went anywhere? Some people do it already. I don't know. What would have to happen for you to refuse to accept stolen wealth? A lot of people get paid exclusively in stolen wealth as their income if they work for the government. What would have to happen for you to condemn violence being initiated on people that did not commit force or fraud? This one is for all those voters out there. If you vote for a political leader, you're voting for somebody to use violence to steal from everyone when they did not commit force or fraud. Some people will say, oh, well, you signed your driver's license, so you consent to it, or it's the consent of the governed. When you sign your driver's license, that's a contract you're entering in under duress, because if you don't have a driver's license, they will put you in a cage. So that means that contract is not a legitimate contract because it was entered in under duress. What would have to happen for you to defend yourself from the police? Should you ever defend yourself from the police? Where would the line be? Is there examples in history where people probably should have defended themselves from the police but didn't? What would have to happen for you to give up the belief that someone else has the right to rule over you? Again, that's another one for the voters out there. Suppose what would have to happen for you to stand alone against an entire military? Obviously, that's not ideal. Probably wouldn't last very long. But could something happen that would put you in a situation where that would be the only choice you'd have? Also, courage breeds courage. So if some people see you standing up, maybe they'll stand with you. What would have to happen for you to do what you want? This is a bit of a news flash, actually. Everybody already does what they want. There's consequences to certain actions. For example, if you tint your windows in your car in certain places, violence will be used against you for that. So tactically, you might not want to do that in practice. That's a whole discussion. Just part of the thought experiment. Everyone already does what they want. If you have a law against something, there's still people that are going to do it. And then this one's well, what would have to happen for you to make your own health choices? That's its own thing. Kind of separate from the other ones, but not really. Obviously, if you break your leg, you should probably go to the hospital. Don't really know what to say about that. Just kind of an idea to put out there because of recent events in the past couple of years. So that's just some thoughts that I've had that helped me develop my resolve. So I know where my line is for all of those. It's going to be different for every person. It's going to be different as time goes on. It's going to be different as different events happen. By developing your resolve now, it will guide your preparation so you do not waste time and resources on areas that won't be necessary. By deciding when and who to talk to about this sort of stuff, you can ease the burden on yourself. You don't need to specialize in everything, from gunsmithing, radios, medical, sustainment, drones, intel, and all the other avenues of logistics. If you already decide when you're going to talk to who, what your focus is going to be, do what you can with the situation you're in. That's it for today's prepping video. I hope this helps. It's helped me. I'll see you in the next one.